All right, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is John Hernandez. I've misplaced my voice this week, so please bear with me. And I am the executive director for the Nonprofit Exchange. We are a technology nonprofit based in Texas that assists nonprofits across the country with technology needs in fundraising, capacity building, and volunteer management. Every other month, we bring in a nonprofit from around the world to share their unique uses of technology for those subjects. And today we're glad to have Dante Plush with the GivingTuesday Foundation to talk about digital youth engagement. So enough of my raspy voice. We're going to let Dante take it away. And then Dante, just let me know when the shift slides.
All righty, let's switch it over to my raspy voice. Well, one, thank you all. Thank you, John, for having me here. And thank you all for giving me this opportunity today to talk to you about youth engagement. I'm going to try to make it as informative and fun as possible. So let's get this show on the road. Can everyone see my camera, my screen? Not my screen, my camera. Great, all right. Well, John, if you can click. So this is just, a little bit about me. I'm the director of youth engagement here at GivingTuesday, which means I get to oversee our global youth engagement initiative, GivingTuesday Spark. Prior to this role, I was a teacher at a Title I school in the Bronx. And yeah, that's kind of what I do here. I focus on youth-led generosity and engaging young people around the world in creating and maintaining their own change-making initiatives. Click, please. So chances are most of you probably by now have heard about GivingTuesday, but in case there is some chance that you have not, GivingTuesday is the world's biggest generosity movement. We focus on making change in the world through inspiring people to make change in their community through small acts of kindness and generosity. Currently, what that's manifesting as is probably the biggest fundraising day in the world for nonprofit organizations, but that ultimately is not the goal of GivingTuesday. That's just one symptom of the overall generosity wave that we are looking to create. So yes, we break records every year in terms of fundraising for nonprofits. Last year we saw $4.2 billion raised. I don't know the exact number, but it's something very, very impressive. I can't remember. And we're probably gonna smash it again this year, I'm confident. But yeah, we can go to the next slide. So by the numbers, some of these numbers are a little outdated, but I like reflecting on them specifically because they were during COVID, when COVID was really, really bad. And it just kind of shows the longevity and the impact of the movement while the rest of the world is kind of in chaos. So 2.47 billion were donated alone in 2020 in the USA. We have a global network where there's about 75 countries involved. Right now, it's about around 80. And just there are millions of people who come out every year and they do acts of generosity. They donate their time, they volunteer, they donate what do they call that? Arm grease? And the arm grease, yeah, they donate their arm grease, their time, their talents, because we want to make sure everyone knows that they have something to give. Can we go to the next slide, please? And this is just an example of how we are an open source movement that kind of ties into technology. We have different iterations of GivingTuesday in different countries, depending on how the countries would like to run them, what culturally makes sense in those countries as compared to what does in the US, and basically the goal of what they want to get out of GivingTuesday within their country. We told them, hey, take our GivingTuesday heart and customize it to meet the needs, the cultural needs or cultural customs or whatever you want to call it of your country. And that's kind of what we have here. Next slide, please. So that brings us to the bulk of what we're as I said before, the Youth Engagement Initiative that Giving Tuesday has launched and put me as the director of. We are global. We have different iterations of Giving Tuesday Spark in countries around the world, including Brazil, Canada, Hong Kong, Pakistan, Costa Rica, Mexico, and then other parts of America like Puerto Rico and whatnot. And we focus on youth-led generosity. And we have our core community of Spark leaders. There's about 50 of them right now, and they are meant to be, I guess the closest thing you can call them would be ambassadors or influencers who are out to influence other young people into making change in their communities through small acts of generosity, and more notably, non-monetary generosity. So that way we're not excluding kids who don't have the financial means right now to give money or participate in fundraising. Because let's face it, if a youth is struggling financially at home, the last thing that's going to be on their mind is fundraising for an organization. So through the work, the ambassador work or the influencer work that our Spark leaders do, we were able to see about 47,000 kids around the world come out and do an act of generosity last year on Giving Tuesday. This year, we are projected to surpass that by a lot, but we will see what happens. You never know. But overall, that was just quite a big accomplishment for us, especially being that Giving Tuesday Spark was established as Giving Tuesday Kids in 2019. And technology has a lot to do with how we run Giving Tuesday Spark. Giving Tuesday Spark is an inherently virtual program, and that's what allowed it to not only stay in place during COVID, but also flourish. Giving Tuesday Spark operates on the idea of harnessing social media to get young people to go out and make change. So our Spark leaders, typically what they do is they find a passion that is important to them, or maybe a cause that's important to them, excuse me, and they start doing small acts of generosity that have to do with that cause, right? And then we say, all right, now document yourself doing this. Make sure it seems relatable. You know, you're an everyday kid. You care about climate change. You want to plant a garden to, I guess, lower your carbon footprint. Cool. Take pictures of yourself in the garden using your smartphone. Create some content. We all know that young people and Gen Z and Gen Alpha really are big on TikTok and whatnot and other apps like that. So create content, then go on your social media accounts and post it. Post what you did and talk about why you did it and how you did it and how other young people can do it, and include a call to action. If you want to do what I did, great. Here's how you can do it. Go to my website and follow these steps and what I have there, or go to the link tree in my bio and sign up for this project that I have going on at this time, or go watch this video on YouTube about how you can get a partner involved in helping you do this. And then we also encourage them to use very specific hashtags so they can take advantage of the digital traffic, especially that goes through the Giving Tuesday hashtag on the big day, because we get billions of like just social media impressions on Giving Tuesday. And we tend to usually trend #1 in the USA on Giving Tuesday on Twitter. So that's just one way that we use social media. That we use technology to engage youth in giving and generosity. We use our base of leaders to do so. We also have email lists and things like the Global Youth Challenge. So the Global Youth Challenge is a strategy that we cooked up where we have our leaders create somewhat of virtual demos for young people who are interested in making change. And those demos include a video with specific instructions and how to participate in a project that the leaders do. And they walk through and they show you how to do it, almost kind of like a module. And then they create a list of things that the young person will need to do this project. And, maybe a virtual sign-up sheet for the young person to sign up to partake in this project and get support from the young person. And then the young person goes, they do the project, and they include they post it to social media, and then they include the specific hashtags that are being asked of them to post it with. just to get as much traffic on the project as possible, but also to give credit to whoever idea it was, and also to link it to the overall global GivingTuesday movement. So that's another example. A lot of Zoom, of course. I mean, I feel like the whole world was using Zoom for a while, but Spark has been very big on Zoom, not only for meetings, but also for differentiation. So we work with young people, and anyone here who knows anything about teaching or pedagogy knows that not every young person, or not every person in general, is the same type of learner. So we've had to learn how to figure out the learning styles of the different leaders to figure out what their needs are, but then how we can utilize technology to meet those needs, right? So we called together a committee of leaders. They call themselves the Neurodivergent Brainstorm Committee, and we met over Zoom calls, and we had them come up with ideas on how we can utilize technologies that we use every day to meet the needs of those young people. And so they came up with things such as using Zoom features to make things easier to process for those leaders who maybe have trouble with processing, especially speech that is fast. You know, we can't control how fast people speak on Zoom, but we can use the translation feature, or I believe, I don't know if it's called interpolation, but there is a feature in Zoom where you can have someone speaking, and then you can have a different channel where someone is translating what that person is saying, but in another language. So our leader suggested taking that feature, and instead of translating what the person's saying to another language, have another channel where it's being said slower. So then if a young person who has processing issues and needs to hear things slower to better comprehend and understand what's being said, they can tune into that channel and hear it slower. So that's one way. Another way that we have been using technology to meet the needs for our kids has been platforms. Fundraising platforms definitely help. If there are youth who want to fundraise for their causes, we've been having them use, I mean, a lot of fundraising platforms kind of reach out and allow the leaders to use their platforms for free, because that's good PR for them. So I guess it makes sense for them, and it also helps other leaders because, again, kids don't have money on hand typically. So the leaders get to use these platforms not only to put out the word, to fundraise for causes that matter to them, but also to analyze data, right? They get to see who is entering their donor base, who is keeping up with them and what and things that they do, who's donating what demographics are donating, who's donating time, who's donating resources. And it really is a learning opportunity for our leaders to get to see that data and help inform how they're going to alter their change-making campaigns and whatnot in the future, right? Let me get my face together because my mouth is running a lot, but it's a very exciting topic and I tend to go really fast on it. How would you say we are on time?
We're good on time. Let me know.
Great.
Next slide.
Great. So yeah, back to more technological uses. So fundraising is probably what you are here to hear about, right? So like I said before, young people tend not to focus on fundraising too much because, again, kids don't have a lot of money. But what they will do is maybe they'll fundraise for a cause in their home. And that's how the newer generations, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, are turning to social media to do that, right? You've already heard about GoFundMe, I imagine, or Facebook fundraising and other platforms that help you fundraise and whatnot. But it's not enough. And our leaders know it's not enough to just go on social media and say, hey, give me money. Because so many people every day go on social media and say, give me money. And it's like, okay, well, why should I give you money over this other person who's asking for it? So that's where digital storytelling comes in, and that utilizes technology. And digital storytelling is the idea of engaging an audience that typically also means your donor base in a story. Tell a story to them. Let them know this is what I'm doing and this is why I'm doing it, and give them updates throughout the year. Participate in generosity throughout the year and let them know that you are invested in this work all year long. And then when Giving Tuesday comes around, those people are going to want to see that story keep going, right? And that's where you start seeing people jumping into your donor base and wanting to actually financially support you and donate money to you. And that's how you do effective fundraising. Popping up once a year and saying, give me money isn't very effective. But engaging people in a year-round story and letting them know that you are invested in this work, that you do it all year long, that it's part of your passion, and that they can be a part of that story of you making change, that's when they want to get involved. So digital storytelling, as I say, is very important. And then there are some tools that a lot of young people use to participate in digital storytelling. Again, Canva, very, very big among Gen Alpha and Gen Z. Since a lot of young people tend to be content creators, they also like to create graphics and do graphic design. So you'll see a lot of young people on Canva creating Instagram stories, creating TikTok stories, creating graphics for Instagram, creating backgrounds that you can then use green screen effects on TikTok to put yourself in front of and customize your story or your movement, right? So it just fits your brand. And that again brings in TikTok. There are a lot of young people who will film their stories, make it like a digital narrative on TikTok, and they'll document it on TikTok, and they'll also cross-post it to Instagram and then put it in Instagram Reels. So now they're building two totally different audiences on different platforms. And that makes sense because TikTok has a generally younger following, right? Then Instagram has a big following amongst millennials like myself, I'm 29. A lot of millennials grew up on Instagram, so you'll find them there. And a lot of causes that Gen Z finds important, a lot of millennials tend to find important too. And then Reels, luckily now can be cross-posted to Facebook, where you will then find the older crowds. Facebook is mostly engaged by older people at this point. And older people are inspired by younger people. So seeing that content there makes them want to get involved and really donate money because they are probably the ones who are the most suited to donate, right? So digital storytelling, very, very big. And the more technology you use, the better. That's where cameras come in. That's where film editing programs come in. Adobe Creative Cloud or whatnot comes into just making these stories the best that they possibly can be. So you can engage your donor base the best that you possibly can and grow it the best that you possibly can. All right, so I think we can go to the next slide. And we can talk about the different ways that some of the leaders in my network have utilized these technologies and whatnot to not only make change, but also kind of help get the resources to make change in the process. So I'd like to direct your attention to the bottom left. There's a Spark leader. Her name is Maria. She's based in South Carolina, and she held a toy drive. And how she held that toy drive, because she's just an everyday teenage girl. She went on Instagram Live and she talked to her friends about, hey, I have a toy drive, and I would love for you to donate toys, bring them to school, and then we can donate them to this program at the school and get them to give them out to kids on New Year's, not New Year's, I'm sorry, on Christmas. So all kids can have toys for Christmas. She also had her mom cross-post her live to Facebook and then take that live and go into Facebook groups where there's a lot of moms, like a lot of mom groups, and say, hi, this is my daughter, Maria. Here's a video that she did. She's asking for donations. Can you please donate toys if you live in our area? And we have until this day to do it. Now, we know in Facebook that it connects people around the world. So if those people aren't able to, or if they're not in your area and they're not able to drop off donations in person, Then they said, okay, if you're not able to drop them off in person, could you please then send us donations through Venmo or through Cash App or whatnot, or even PayPal? And the great thing about these money transfer services, that's another technology that young people use often, is that you can easily track what money is being sent in and out. And that provides transparency for you and for your donors, right? You can just immediately send them receipts or whatnot. And then you can also let them know, okay, these are all the donations that I got. This is where the money went. So you know that your money is being impacted. The same thing is done by Chloe in the top left-hand corner. Chloe is actually the young lady who founded Giving Tuesday Spark in conjunction with Giving Tuesday. I just was with her earlier. She is 15. She started the program when she was 12. She does a lot of work with the homeless on Skid Row and filling community fridges. So a lot of times she gets grassroots support from people who want to help out across the country, and they send her money through them. And she is able to, again, get those donations to do these trips to fill these community fridges by building up stories through digital storytelling online, and then putting in that call to action at the end of her stories, saying, hey, if you'd like to support my work, feel free to, go to the link tree in my bio and send me money through Venmo, or when Giving Tuesday comes around, you can donate to my nonprofit, Chloe Finch. I do want to touch on Linktree very quickly because it's very important. In the bottom right corner, the Nest Sparks, Shreya and Isha, they are based in Washington, D.C., and they do a lot of work with food insecurity. So they have built partnerships with restaurants in their area, and they've said, hey, Panera Bread, you're going to throw away that bread at the end of the day because it's not fresh, right, and part of your brand. Well, instead, how about you give that to us and we will redistribute it to kitchens around the DC area that feed people who are underserved or who are homeless or whatnot. So they've created that. And what they then do is they utilize Linktree. They put a link tree in their social media bios because websites these days aren't as useful as they used to be. I mean, let's face it, social media has taken over the world by storm, and young people have grown up on social media. So that's what they know. So they're more likely to want to go to the link tree in your Instagram bio or your TikTok bio as opposed to your website. So they utilize Linktree and they tell the young people who are interested in helping out in their project, go into my bio, there's my Linktree. You go into our Linktree, you can sign up on this date to participate in this project here. You can donate to us here. You can see more about our mission here. You can see past impact that we've had here. Linktree has become a way to kind of take that digital story that you've been telling in a while for a long time and make it live, give it, even though it's been in the past, give it a place to live digitally in your bio, but then also give resources to support it. So maybe documentation supporting what you said you've done to make your movement look more legitimate, but also ways that the audience can support and get involved once they feel inspired by the work that you were doing. So Linktree is very, very big. How are we doing on time? Did we start wrapping up soon, John, so we can do the Q&A, or?
We got about 10 more minutes.
Great.
If you want to do that.
Yeah, we'll probably use maybe like 5 of it and then maybe leave some extra time for questions. Let's go to the next slide, please. Yeah, okay, again. Great. So we have technology has also influenced the missions of some of our leaders. So I think that's very important to pay attention to moving forward as we see the intentions of our leaders and what they're doing. So I want to direct your attention to the bottom right corner. We have a leader named Audrey who's based in Texas, but now goes to UPenn. And Audrey started her mission in 2020 to fight colorism with an app called Love My Skin. So Love My Skin, it's an app on someone's phone, and users can use the app to get daily skin affirmations to help them feel more comfortable in their skin, but also to give them resources to help them figure out who can help me with my skin. If I have eczema, what types of, who should I trust? Where should I go to get advice on how to deal with it or whatnot? If I have vitiligo, how can you help me feel comfortable about what's going on? And so she's built that app and has coded it and whatnot, and is currently in the process of trying to get the word out about it. And the fascinating thing about Audrey's work is that she was influenced to do this, or encouraged to do it, because when COVID hit and we all were sent into lockdown, her and her friends in high school were forced to go into Zoom school, right? And some of them said that they felt like they looked too dark on Zoom, and it kind of made them feel uncomfortable in their class. So she said, well, I need to do something about this. And here we are. She's trying to use technology and digital apps now to tackle issues of colorism and racism, and just help everyone feel comfortable in their skin. And we also have Raciel, who is in the top left-hand corner. Raciel is a very, very big advocate on autism awareness and just mental health in general. And he uses social media to build advocacy campaigns. He wants people to understand the misconceptions that people think about people who have autism or people who are on the spectrum in general, and also try to tackle falsehoods that he feels are being given out by other organizations that constantly talk about autism or whatnot. And he also directed our neurodivergent brainstorm committee, which I spoke to you about earlier. And helped come up with the ideas on how we can be using technology to meet the needs of young people who may need a little more support to meet their full potential. I think that we can pretty much pause on the presentation there and go into questions. I'd love to answer any questions anyone may
have. Hi, Dante. So one question actually that I know people have asked before is, what new trends, where do you see social media and digital action going? Do you think social media is going to stay the primary, even with all the privacy concerns, or do you see it going more to text messages?
Oh, absolutely, social media. It's going to stay the primary and only grow. I see the trends that I see as of more recently, a lot of video. So text is actually probably going out the door. A lot of Gen Zs love talking through video. And even like graphics interchange format, that's something that was big on millennials. That's cringe now to Gen Zs. And so they talk a lot through video. They talk a lot through MP4 files. They use reaction videos to talk to each other. So don't be surprised if you start seeing video fundraising events pop up, where you can click on a video and it takes you to a portal where you can then donate to a GoFundMe or whatnot. And while the video is telling the story of their passion or what they're interested in, or the work that they're trying to do. Does that kind of answer that question? Did I hit it in the head?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And what are some, I guess, big no-nos that you see a lot of nonprofits still doing when trying to engage with Gen Z? We live in a world now where everything is on demand. We want food, it's on demand. We want to watch our favorite show, it's on demand. How can nonprofits adapt that into what they're doing?
Well, I think there's two big no-nos I see with nonprofits when it comes to engaging Gen Z and Gen Alpha. One, I'd say the more easier one is going on Facebook. Gen Z is not on Facebook. Gen Z is not on Facebook. They're not really on Twitter either. Those are for millennials and Gen X and whatnot. You're not going to find young people there. You need to adapt to TikTok, figure out how to get on the For You page, and utilize those hashtags and whatnot to engage youth there. Secondly, I'd say, from what I've seen, and this is just my opinion, a lot of nonprofits kind of just focus on Where can I get money? Where can I get money to make my mission happen? Where can I get funds to do this? I need to fundraise 24/7. And then they see youth and they're like, oh, youth, how can I get them to get us money? And I think that that's a big mistake because one, youth aren't really concerned about getting money unless it's for their own movement, not so much yours. And again, when you focus on that, you're leaving out an entire audience of kids who aren't socioeconomically solvent at the time, who can also be helping spread your message. We're just kind of focusing on rich and privileged kids. So that's another big no-no. I would say nonprofits, I'd advise them to support youth in their year-round generosity. Find some kids, right? Figure out what they're passionate about and encourage them to do generosity year-round, and make sure some way, somehow that you let the world know how you're supporting that young person. It doesn't need to be through money. It could be through resources. It could be through speaking engagements. Those are really big to young people who are just average, everyday young people. If they get to speak on your platform, that's big for them because they feel like they're getting their word out to the rest of the world. Like I said, get them connections to other people who may be able to get them connections to other things and may be able to help them. But yeah, supporting them and doing their digital storytelling. And then when a day like Giving Tuesday comes up, you can then say, so we spend our year supporting young people in making change and getting their stories out. If you'd like to see us continue doing this work, please consider donating to us so we can continue supporting these young people. And then those are more effective ways to fundraise. I really highly advise against just saying, hey kids, go out and raise money for us. Because it again isolates really big audiences of potential youth that can be working with you and getting your name out there and kind of giving good PR to you because you're helping promote equity. And instead kind of focuses on rich, privileged kids. And it's also kind of youth labor in a way, which is kind of, I don't know, it's a dangerous field to be stepping into, in my opinion.
No, thank you so much for joining us today, Dante. Before we sign off, are there any TikTok accounts that you would recommend of nonprofits doing it right, where you're just inspired by how they're delivering their message and creating that engagement that we can look at to get some ideas?
I would say definitely go to, on the Giving Tuesday Instagram, but also the Giving Tuesday TikTok. We do repost those nonprofits that are doing that good TikTok work onto our TikTok. So I think that's a really good hub to just view those. But in terms of organizations that I would say to see as an example, there's an organization, and this isn't just TikTok, but they also utilize Instagram very well. March for Our Lives, definitely, because they utilize Instagram stories for their following, and they put up like polls in their stories. They utilize the poll function or the question function, and the young people can go, and young people love speaking their mind because a lot of times they don't give them the opportunity to. And it could be a question as simple as, how do you feel about the midterm elections coming up? Have them vote. Now you have those young people's attention and they value you because you asked their opinion and they follow you, and then they want to help support and work with your nonprofit. So I definitely recommend checking out March for Our Lives on Instagram and on TikTok. Look at how they utilize their stories and how they talk to their youth and the type of language that they use and the type of hashtags that they use. And then also the conversationalist, I think is also, I've seen they have very good social media strategy, and how they kind of just talk to their audience through memes, through reels or TikToks, through Instagram stories, through polls, through questions, through Ask Me Anything, hashtag AMA, which got popularized by Reddit. I'd say they're a good example as well.
Thank you again, Dante. And I just want to remind everybody, we're 32 days out from Giving Tuesday. So again, thank you again for sharing how we can engage the next generation of world changers and donors.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And thank you to everybody else in the audience for joining us again. And check back every other month where we bring in a nonprofit from around the world to share how we can use technology to further change the world.